welcome to this latest edition of Fuel Talk from Cox Automotive UK. Fuel Talk's a straight-talking podcast where we share valuable context around news and expertise across the group. I'm James Davis, and for this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by not one, but two industry-leading ladies. And guest today I have, and we're talking about Barbara Cox and the Woman of the Year Award, which was announced this week. I'm joined by Alison Fisher, who's HR Director of Cox Automotive International, and Lorna McAtear, who's Fleet Manager at National Grid and winner of this year's Barbara Cox Woman of the Year Award. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you, James.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. So, Lorna, straight to you. Congratulations, obviously, from everybody in Cox Automotive. It was a stiff field of leading ladies you were up against in terms of the award. So you're joining an exclusive group of ladies who are recognised in the industry for their contribution to automotive. So congratulations. But I guess it's 3 or 4 days since the award was announced. It's sinking in. How do you feel?
No, it's not. I don't think it has quite sunk in yet still. I think the amount of messages and everything else, in all honesty, it's been quite overwhelming to a certain degree. You're used to getting messages and the odd bits and pieces for some of the stuff you do out. But having so many people, and I think the most amazing thing that's been coming through, when I've done a webinar or I've been on a conference years ago, and someone's remembered and I'd actually inspired them at that point in time, or they've taken some of that piece of information and you don't even know it happens. And then they've contacted you later to say, congratulations, by the way, do you remember? And it's like, and you don't always remember what you do and the impact you have. So you kind of forget and you keep chomping at the bit. I know you and I have chatted in the past, James, about the more we learn as well, the more we think we suddenly realize, gosh, we've still got to learn. So you forget what you've achieved, you forget what you've done because you're constantly trying to strive for the next thing that's coming along down the pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get ready for it, really. So it's kind of still a bit of a shock, still sinking in, but absolutely wonderful. It's a real reminder to me of everything that's gone on.
That's great. And just before we started recording, the award has already landed with you. It's on your windowsill there for people to see behind, which is great. So there it is. So in terms of, and with that award, in seriousness, there is a £5,000 bursary for you obviously to use on your professional development, personal development. So that's fantastic. But I guess moving to Alison now, for people listening, Alison, who maybe aren't aware of the Barbara Cox Award, could you give us a bit of information about who Barbara Cox was, the judging panel, and a bit more about, the judging criteria around the award, please?
Yeah, absolutely, James. I think last time we were together doing one of these was about launching our pursuit to find our next winner of the Barbara Cox Award.
Yeah, you're right.
So Barbara Cox, who was she? She was the daughter of our company's founder, Governor James Cox, and she was mother of one of our former chairmen, Jim Kennedy. And when you research, well, who was Barbara Cox? What was she about? For me, when people talk about her, they talk about her sharp sense of humour, key eye for business, that real competitive spirit that I know that certainly connects with me. But more so than anything, Barbara Cox was about giving something back, and a huge legacy that she's created around that. And I suppose Cox was almost ahead of its time in the fact that Anne and Barbara, that they were guardians of the principles of which the organisation was founded by their father, and really have enabled Cox to grow to the size and scale that it has done today. But the Barbara Cox Award is named after her in terms of somebody who's a great leader. So that's what we were looking for from this, is somebody who's a great leader, but also is an innovator, embraces innovation, it challenges that status quo. And finally, it's that giving something back, that community spirit, play it forward via coaching or mentoring. And so all of those three key criteria really are a manifestation of Barbara Cox and what she was about. And so we set off, it was November last year, to find our next winner of the Barbara Cox Award. We have 55 nominations, which was the most we've received so far, which is fantastic. And then the judging panel then had the really hard task to about 55 down to find our winner. And luckily for me, it isn't down to me to find the winner. I have a great panel of judges joined us. The two former winners, so both Beryl Carney and Alison Jones were on our judging panel, which is great. So again, we keep passing that legacy through, and it's great to get their insights as well. Alongside Sarah Toos from Fleet News, who's been on that judging panel with myself now for 3 years. We were joined by Liam Quegan, so we did let one of the boys in to be part of the judging panel, but we know Liam is sponsor of Women We Drive. And finally, Linda Ennis from Ennis & Co, who gave us a real tough job of trying to find our winner, and they did a great job of helping find our 6 shortlisted ladies and ultimately agree on who the winner was. So, and I'm delighted that Lorna is with us today.
Absolutely. So before we talk about Lorna, while she can hear what we're saying and what was the reason why you as judges chose her, I just think it's appropriate at this point just to have a shout out for a highly nominated winner, because Jess Chapman, who's head of new business at LeasePlan, was highly nominated. So congratulations. I have to say the field was really, really strong. So back to your point, Alison, we've got Lorna on there, so Lorna, we're going to talk about you now. But what stood out for you, Alison, and the judges around Lorna and her, in terms of her winning the award in ultimately?
Absolutely. And I think for me personally, the first thing I look at is leadership, because it's something that is really important to me. It's leadership. And what struck me from the nomination was that when people talked about Lorna, they did talk about her in such positive words, but constantly talked about how inspirational she was. And in terms of, whether they come into contact with her on a frequent basis or that infrequent basis, but by having that interaction and in that moment, she had inspired others. And what she'd really inspired is young people or new people coming into the industry who would never have thought about joining fleet or automotive, but they've heard from Lorna, they've heard her speak or etc. And that had really inspired them. That for me, humility, authenticity really struck me as well. And then when you look at how Lorna has challenged the status quo, she'd gone far broader and wider than the remit of her role, because she passionately believes in something. And that passion came now in bucket loads. It's almost, for me, Lorna's found her purpose. And because she's found her purpose, that passion just emanates through her. And she's been able to bring about change that's far wider than the remit of her role. And that is immense, because for me, Lorna is not the most senior within her organisation, but Lorna has been able to influence government policy, has been able to influence large organisations to believe in what's possible, and Lorna challenges what is possible and goes and makes what is possible. And I think for me, that's what really struck me in her sheer determination to go through those, every obstacle that's put in her way. She's not accepting that. She's going to, and we all need that determination, don't we? And Lorna really demonstrated that for me. She's challenged mindsets along the way, but also she's had her own challenges as well. She's got two twins that, growing up, bringing young people into the world, providing that support network for her family as well. So it's never been easy for Lorna, but she has just found a way of being able to do the things that she does, and she just inspired me just reading the words on the paper. But then when I interacted with Lorna with some emails, knowing that she was the winner, I just thought, we have made the right decision here. Just from that interaction, the genuineness, the authenticity, the humility, and I think that's really important, and that's why Lorna won the Barbara Cox Award for me.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, that...
Done it again.
I was going to ask you, Lorna, I was going to come on to you and ask you for your thoughts on that. That was incredibly powerful for me. And I think just while you're thinking about that and composing yourself, for me, when I was, because we were all at the Women We Drive Award, which was where the Barbara Cox Woman of the Year award was announced, the winner was announced this year. You in terms of when Alison was doing the introductions, asking everybody to introduce themselves and posing questions to them, you talked about, what you'd held true to in your career about being yourself, being comfortable, and from that achievements came. That openness, the honestness, that humility is a great word, Alison, isn't it? In terms of, and you said at the beginning, Lorna, that role model to others, which you don't appreciate that you are that person. And I think, to hear somebody who, frankly, you've come to know Cox Automotive this year, certainly, and Alison, but to have someone who, relatively speaking to you, is a new contact that sees that and hears other people that have nominated you, they see it clearly, they've worked with you, they've observed it. It's incredibly powerful. So over to you. How does that feel?
That's it. You're going to make me speechless again. It is, and it's something we don't do enough of. We don't stop and ask people what they think, probably because we're scared of the answers some of the times. But we don't do enough of it. We're always told, HR, do your 360 reviews, look at your performance, do it this. But we don't do enough of it in terms of, well, where are our strengths? What is it you see in me that I don't see in myself? And we don't do enough of that. And chatting again with some of my peers in the industry when this was all coming through and, we're up for the awards and everything else. And one of them said to me, yeah, but you always smile. And it's something as simple as that. They said, yeah, but every time we think of you or whatever it is you're doing, you always smile. It doesn't matter what's happening, you smile. And it's like, I guess I do. Maybe that's because I'll just cry otherwise. I don't know what it is. It's just, but as you said, and I said earlier, you don't realize the impact you have. So hearing it back, there is a sense of pride, actually, because I've always worked on, it's the little things. It's that little tiny achievement, and it's that, yay. And as you said, Alison, I'm not the most senior, and this is kind of the first time I've actually been in a role where I'm running my fleet now. And it is change. I might have been in huge organizations, but there's still others. And even now in this role, there's still a team. There's still people involved. We all still work together on this, whether that's your direct team or your matrix team, your virtual teams that you have. You do this together. And I guess the other bit of the authenticity is don't underestimate picking up the phone to your mates in the background going, ah! when something's gone wrong, or who knows, or how do I get hold of? And we don't even leverage that enough. So I think that was one of the bits of advice I kind of gave, is just network. And then once you've networked, go and network the network. And that was a piece of advice given to me by somebody a long time ago when I first joined. So.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And you talk about that support network, and for people listening, I think Alison, from our perspective, we've referenced Women with Drive as an event, and the actual Women with Drive event again this year was held on International Women's Day, which was a great celebration. And as you said, it's not just for girls. Hence, myself and other colleagues were in there. It's not just for Cox Automotive employees. It's for clients, and obviously, Lorna, you had some contacts that you invited to that event. So could you give us a bit more information, Alison, about Women with Drive and what the specific agenda was this time on this occasion?
Yeah, absolutely. So Women with Drive is a platform to talk and share and inspire women to believe that anything is possible. And over the 5 years, and it's been going 5 years now, and we've grown from 30 women in a room, which from my first mistake is only getting 30 women in a room, not inviting the guys into the room. So, I think there was over 430 people online, and we had a truly international event. So it was fantastic, truly international event with colleagues in Canada, in Brazil, in the US, across Europe. So it's so brilliant. And Women with Drive just really just strive to create that network. And you've been to these events, James. They are positive, they are uplifting, they're inspiring. And we talk about celebrating, and it's a platform, it's a place where we celebrate great women and what they achieve. And to Lorna's point, it's so often we don't sit and reflect and think about our own journeys.
Yeah.
And don't think, well, I don't inspire people, I just do what I do. But actually, you don't just do what you do, you do more than that. And this is that way where we give people voices and voices are heard. And I think that's a key thing. As women, we've always had voices. It's whether or not people listen to our voices. And this is a platform that creates that opportunity to be heard more widely. Again, across the industry, just putting the mirror up, just, saying, we need to be more gender diverse. Because if we're going to be successful in the future as an industry, we need greater diversity at all levels, and we need to attract the very best talent into our industry if we're going to continue to thrive and grow. So that's really the purpose of it. I have that expression about, have a dream, dream big, and dreams do come true. I'm living my dream, and I talk about that, and I want more women to have those dreams and think about what is possible and fulfill their ambitions for themselves, and that's what we do. At the event on Monday, on International Women's Day, Choose to Challenge, we had a fabulous fireside chat with Janet Barnard, who is the Executive Vice President for People Solutions for Cox Automotive, which, again, tremendous. I mean, Janet, to hear her speak, authenticity, humility, all of the traits that we just talked about with Lorna. And with Maria Soklis, who's our president for Cox Automotive Canada, both really open, really frank, really honest about some of the challenges. And I think that's, again, what helps inspires people, but makes it relatable. And I think that's what we need, is relatable women that don't pretend to be superheroes, because, we all have our own challenges. We all have our dark days and moments and think, oh my God, can I really do this? And I think that's important that we share that. And then obviously in the afternoon, we had the Barbara Cox Award, and we had people sharing their pledges around Choose to Challenge, what they're going to do to bring around that change that we all want to see. So that's a bit about the event that we held on Monday, but also a bit about Women with Drive.
No, that's great. Thanks, Alison. And moving to you, Lorna. So obviously in terms of the industry that you represent, it's really important, as you saw in that event, but I know you hold true in terms of diversity, inclusivity, and equity. So from your position, looking at the industry, but maybe beyond the industry, to you as an individual, to life, as what guides you in terms of that approach to work, and that approach to life and career that holds true for you?
I think it's belief, quite down to its simple thing. And Marie and Janet mentioned things on Monday as well. It's not easy. Nothing's going to be handed to you on a plate. Don't expect just because you're this, that, or the other that things are going to be given to you. It's hard work. And even presentations like this, or webinars, or anything you do, the prep work that goes in beforehand, that nice, comfy image at the front is often a facade, trust me.
It's the swan scenario, isn't it?
Yeah,
Swan scenario.
The nerves that kick in. I get some people saying, yeah, but this, and it's like, do you know, I had post-it notes here and I had this there. It's prepare. Whatever it is you do, make sure you've prepared. And that could be as simple as the first time you work into a workshop with all the mechanics around, male, female, or what. Be prepared. You're going to get some difficult questions, and you're going to get some things you don't know. So find the topic. I did it once on batteries. So I researched batteries a few weeks before and studied them inside out. And then when I went in and somebody asked me a question, I threw a question back at them. And they suddenly didn't know if I knew what I was talking about or not. And when I made them work through it logically, it was like, there's an element of respect here now. So it's just understand what you're doing, believe in what you're doing. I think that's one of the hardest things, is believing. Yeah. Sometimes it's doing what feels right, and you will get knocked back so many times, because human nature, we're all diverse, we all think differently, we all look at things differently, and it's understanding everybody's point of view. Not everyone's going to be right, but they believe they're right. Yeah. And it's just understanding why, how, and how do you work with that and taking that to its next level. So for me, it's just having a strong work ethic. It's knowing it's not going to be an easy ride at times. It's remembering to pat yourself on the back when you do achieve something, even if it's a tiny little, I've figured out that Excel formula, finally, I've got something sorted. It doesn't matter what it is, just remember to pat yourself on the back every now and again, and help people. But don't help them by just going, oh, here's your solution. Help them by saying, have you thought, have you considered, and just encouraging people forward, wherever it is. I mean, you and I know, James, from when we've looked at it, it's like, what's happening elsewhere? Where's the legislation going? What's coming down the line next? It's constantly saying, well, what next? What next? How do we do that? How will it impact me? How will it impact everyone? And I was doing some other stuff as well with some people, and it's like, I don't need it, but I know you do. So actually, if I put my voice behind yours, then it helps the industry because it moves that bit forward. So you can be very selfish and look after yourself, but ultimately that's not going to help you in the longer term, and it's not going to help anyone else. So that's probably it, really.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think that you talk about collaboration, and I think for me, I mean, turning to you, Alison, with Women with Drive, you know, talking about the principles behind that, because you've, you know, in terms of you establishing it, you've handed the baton on to Liam, as you've said, as senior board sponsor now. But for you, in terms of Women with Drive, you know, same question to you really, I guess, as to Lorna, which is around what principles drive us in business that also you transfer into life and kind of you'd bring into the Women with Drive, and where you saw Women with Drive going in terms of that establishing it as a network.
Yeah, and everything that Lorna said there holds true for me, and because women, we are, dare I say, naturally more collaborative, you know, and listening to Lorna, it isn't about me. This is about how we can make things better for all, and that has been my overriding driver and ambition with Women with Drive, is how do we help more women to fulfill their potential? How do we help more people? Not how does this, what about me? This is about the greater good, and everything that Lorna's talked about today has actually been about the greater good. It hasn't been about Lorna doing this for Lorna, or dare I say even for her organisation. This has been about the greater good. And I think that's really, really powerful. And that's what, again, about trying to create a more inclusive and diverse workplace, create a more diverse and inclusive industry, is about the greater good. Okay, that's for a far higher purpose, and that's why we do what we do, to empower people, inspire people, give people that belief and confidence. Because as Lorna said, confidence is a big thing that we talk about so often with Women with Drive. If women say, oh, I'm not confident, or I don't have that belief to do those things, is actually you've got the answers within yourself. We've all got the answers within ourselves. We just need somebody to help us, male or female, to tap into some of those things. And, you know, we've had the fabulous Jules Wyman at previous events, the confidence coach. And Jules talks about, you know, confidence is an inside job. And, you know, you don't, and it's about how we do those things for ourselves, but also how we need other people sometimes to help us to see those things. And it is about shining a spotlight, giving people hope, giving people belief, and giving them a pathway forward. And I'm so proud about what we've done in the last 5 years with Drive, and, you know, and it will continue to go from strength to strength. Because this isn't about one person, this is about a movement. This is about a network of now 400 of people come together because they want to bring about change. And that's the power of what Women with Drive is about.
Absolutely. No, fantastic. No, fantastic. Thank you for that. And that's certainly given the listeners not just an insight into you, Lorna, and the reasons for you winning, but certainly the background to Women with Drive and our focus as Cox Automotive, as you said, Alison, around diversity and you know, celebrations and talking of celebrations, mindful of both of your time. So I sense we could chat a lot longer, but mindful, as I said, we've got to let you get back to the day jobs. Just before I move on to my last question, I also want to it's been a heck of a week. A shout out for Alison. So hijacking this and going off what we said we'd talk about was a big shout out for you, Alison, because also this week you were recognised by the Northern Power Women Awards in their category of Transformational Leader, of which you got a commended award. So fantastic. It's definitely been a week of awards, and it's really great to celebrate with both of you in terms of that. So actually, yes, 2 award-winning leading ladies I've got on the call today, which is great. So yeah, but no, a big shout out to you for that. So so to close, in terms of, you know, you talked about, Alison, about International Women's Day and Choose to Challenge as the pledge. And I have to say, this year, for me, I'm seeing a lot more traction on social media, you know, generally speaking, which I think I definitely have seen as a step change, which is fantastic for all the reasons we discussed today. But specifically on you, in terms of, you talk about gender bias, inequality, which it was talked about at Women with Drive. What's your personal pledge in terms of that Choose to Challenge, Alison? And I'll obviously come to you then next, Lorna.
Yes, so my personal pledge was about continuing to amplify the voices of women. I see my role as being giving that platform and sharing more of those stories and more the celebration of the great things that women are doing. So I'm going to continue to make sure I shine a spotlight on the great women within our industry.
Fantastic. And Lorna, your pledge?
Yeah, I think I actually posted my pledge on LinkedIn. So it was, I have always and I will always continue to push diversity, because I think everyone has something to offer. And we are so diverse in all of us, everything, the attitude, the fact that my 11-year-olds ask me questions on things, and if ICE vehicles are so bad for you, why don't we just stop making them? So we all have these very simplistic ideas sometimes, and it's those simple ones that actually help drive forward. So I always have and always will continue to push diversity at every level.
Wow. Well, what a note to end on. And I think those pledges, for my sake, my pledge as well was through my role, certainly through social media, but was to amplify those great messages that both of you have spoken of. And here's one platform that we're doing that on today. So thank you both for your time. I know how precious it is. Congratulations to you both, and I could say that in terms of that. So thank you, Alison, for bearing with. And so yeah, thanks to you both. And for anyone listening, if you've enjoyed what you've heard, please give it a thumbs up and a like. And you can get in touch with us through all the social media channels at Fuel Talk if there's anything that you want to have covered in the future. But for the moment, thank you, as I say, to both our ladies. Thank you for tuning into Fuel Talk. And until next time, please stay safe.